Welcome to the Glam Report, where we turn the spotlight on the latest in beauty, wellness, and aesthetics, unveiling cutting-edge trends, expert insights, and the stories that shape the world of skincare. Get ready to elevate your glow with every episode. I'm your host, Amy Harrington, nurse, aesthetic clinical educator, and VP of Clinical Development at Glacial Skin, the trailblazers in cryoaesthetic innovation. Each episode, we will dive into the forefront of skincare, exploring groundbreaking technologies and the inspiring real stories from the heart of the industry. Whether you're a seasoned pro or simply passionate about beauty and wellness, we're here to keep you informed and inspired. Let's get our glow on. Hello, listeners. Welcome back to the Glam Report. I'm your host, Amy Harrington, and today's episode is nothing short of inspiring. Joining me today is a powerhouse in the aesthetics industry, Rachel DiGiacomo, also known as her Instagram handle, Skin Solutions by Rachel. In just 4 short years, Rachel has built an incredible brand and reputation as a manifesting queen, an acne specialist, a new mom, a thriving solo esthetician, and a business owner of her own aesthetic practice in Orlando, Florida. From her expertise in treating skin to her unique approach to mindset and manifestation, Rachel has transformed her passion into a 6-figure empire. We'll dive into her journey of turning dreams into reality, building a loyal client base, and balancing life as a new mom and business owner. Whether you're an aspiring esthetician, a skincare enthusiast, or someone looking for a spark of inspiration, this conversation is packed with the magic that makes Rachel a star.
Rachel,
let's get into it.
Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Congratulations on being a new mom.
Thank you.
You are the proud mama of a beautiful baby girl, Remy.
Yes.
Tell us how it's been, diving back into work and being a new mom, running your own business.
There's definitely no handbook for these kinds of things, so I'm kind of just navigating it as I go, but I only took a month off from work. Realistically, as an entrepreneur, the longer I'm away from my business, the more money I lose. So, but I think a month was like the sweet spot, and obviously my husband is there to help. We have a great support system. So going back to work wasn't as hard as I thought it was going to be. It kind of just felt like I picked up where I left off, and yeah, it's been great.
Yeah, a month isn't a lot of time. And you're not, you are a very busy lady.
Yes, I am.
Yeah, and that's what we're here to talk about.
Yes.
So I have had the pleasure of reading your book, The Client Magnet, Manifesting Success as a Solo Esthetician. Tell us a little bit about why you decided to write this digital book.
So I feel like I could talk about manifestation forever. I wrote this book because I get asked all the time how I grew my business in X amount of time, starting with little to no followers on my social media, very little client base at first, and I know I just sound like a broken record when I say it, but I really just manifested it. And so this book kind of talks about the science and the facts behind manifesting. It's not just some like woo-woo thing. Like, there is real evidence behind it, and it comes with a lot of work and effort, but if you believe in yourself, you can do it.
Yeah, I really loved reading the part in the book about your journey, about working for a practice where you had, the stability, you had a patient client, client base, and then all of a sudden one day you decide, like, what do I want? What do I need? And you just said, I don't have anything lined up, but I want to manifest something for myself.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that journey.
So that was kind of scary because when I had first started working there, I loved it, but I had never intended on going solo. It was never, like, my plan A, B, and C was to just work for someone else for a while. Loved it. I was super comfortable, but I realized that you can only go so far with that aspect. And I realized, like, oh, I'm actually really, really good at this, and I could be better if I, decided to open up my own business. So I put all my eggs in one basket and maxed out an Ulta Rewards MasterCard, bought everything I needed to open my little suite, and grew from there. But yeah, I was just a solo Esty with hopes and dreams and made it happen.
And you told me that you came over with a client base of 20, and now you are this, like, manifestation queen. You're a solo Esty that is an influencer in the industry, and that I think maybe people don't realize, maybe the listeners don't realize, but I do after reading your book, that you did this in 4 short years.
Yeah.
Like maybe even 3.5 short years.
I think like it took me about a year to foster like a very loyal client base, to the point where I had to create a wait list. But over the span of 4 years that I've been an esthetician, it just continues to grow. But I think that first year or two is when my momentum was at its peak. Definitely before I had my daughter. Things are a little like stagnant now, but luckily I have my employee, so she's been able to get fully booked as well. So that's been awesome having her.
I'd love to talk to you about kind of how this whole manifestation thing started. And, in your book, you really emphasize knowing your why.
Yeah.
Tell me how did you discover all of this? How did you discover manifesting your future and knowing and transforming your why?
So when it comes to knowing my why started with me. I always struggled with acne and rosacea from the time I was like in my early 20s, and I always thought that those things were just something that happened when we were in our like high school era, going through puberty and everything, but I was so wrong. It actually got worse as I got older. So that made me really want to learn more about how to heal my own skin. And once I saw what seeing an esthetician could do for me and my confidence, that kind of transformed into what I wanted to do for a living. So once I became an esthetician and got that rewarding feeling of what it was like to change others' lives through skin, it just made me realize how far I could go in this career. So when I started working for somebody else, we were only limited to a certain amount of devices and skincare lines. And I knew that if I wanted to grow and change lives, I had to branch off and bring on the lines and the devices that I knew were going to transform my client's skin. So when I worked for someone else, we only had one skincare line, a couple different services, but nothing that was really super transformative. So me not being able to kind of make the calls there, I realized that if I did want to, I had to open up my own business and do that. So I think my why is just being able to help others through skin.
Well, it sounds like you help others through various other ways with your social media presence. I know that a lot of people reach out to you for advice. A lot of Esties, solo Esties. Our industry is trending towards a lot of solo Esties.
It is.
And it's very interesting that there is this following, like for yourself, exactly. Your Instagram following is quite influential.
Yeah.
What are the types of things that estheticians reach out to you for guidance on?
I think the most is how to grow on social media and in the treatment room. Being an esthetician, primarily getting our services out there and attracting clients is social media based. So I get the appeal behind wanting to grow a larger following, because in their minds they're thinking, oh, if I have a larger following, it's going to attract more clients. So there is some importance there, but I do want to reiterate that you do not have to have a large following to have a large client base. As long as you're treating those clients with respect and the care and they're seeing great results, you're going to be fine in this industry. But I think a lot of estheticians ask me like how I grew so fast, because they've been following me since day one, and we're like, how did you do that? Like, so yeah, it's just crazy to think about, but
tell us, how did you do that? You have what, 37,000 followers now?
Yeah,
on Instagram,
which to me, I still feel like that's like nothing compared to a lot of other estheticians that I admire and look up to, but it is also a big deal to me, given that I started this page, this business, with like 900 followers. But I think so this is going back to the manifestation thing, but I kind of already acted like I was that girl, if you will. I acted like I was fully booked and busy even when I wasn't. I would come in on my days off. I would come in when I had no clients. I would ask my friends and family to let me work on them just to have something to post about. Because if you're not posting, then people don't know what they don't know. They don't know you exist if you're not posting. So I had to have something to work with. So I think it's just having like a good work ethic and realizing it's not all glitz and glam. Like social media is just a highlight reel. So there are days where it is a little slow at first, but I promise if you just keep going and you just act like you are that girl, you will be that girl.
So in your book, you mention about how you were when you were an employee at a practice. One of the mandates in the practice was that you posted on social media 3 times a day.
Yeah.
And at first that was a challenge for you because you weren't necessarily busy, or you didn't you didn't have that creative vibe where you're like, oh gosh, this is exactly how I want to entertain or engage my audience.
Right.
How did you go from that, having to be forced to post 3 times a day to where you are today?
Well, I will say where I am today, I think part of that is because of me having to post 3 times a day, even when I had nothing. I'm like, how am I supposed to post that much when I have nothing to post? I just had to figure it out. Like, I felt like, yes, I was kind of thrown into the wolves of social media, and that was about 4 years ago. So there are a ton more estheticians now, and it is a little bit harder to stand out in this industry now. But back then, Instagram reels were popping off, and they still are. And I think that is something that is never going to stop trending. So posting reels was huge for our engagement. It was mostly just comedic stuff, educational stuff that I would post a lot. But yeah, being forced to post when I wasn't really good at it at first led me to being good at it. You just have to keep doing it and doing it. It's not going to be perfect at first. Might not even be good at first, but if you keep doing it, it will come a lot easier.
I follow your posts, and they always bring a smile to my face. I love your brand is so like identifiable. When I see something about, as I'm scrolling, I'm like, oh, that must be Rachel. And then I stop and I'm like, that's definitely Rachel, because you have such an identifiable brand. So tell me a little bit, I do want to dive into to how you developed your brand to make it so identifiable. But I also want to know, like, how did you go from not knowing what to post to having such engaging creative content? And then to piggyback on that, how do you have the time to post when you are the person that's running your business? You're creating content, you're filming the content, you're doing the services. Like, if you were talking to a brand new solo SD that you really wanted to help be successful, how would you guide them to be able to kind of ease into that?
Yeah, I know it can sound and feel very overwhelming when you're thinking about all of that as a whole. Like, if I just sat here and I was thinking about all the things that I had to do to keep my business afloat, it would overwhelm me to the point where I'm like, I'm just going to sit here and probably not do any of that today. But I think just time management is huge, and outsource for the things that you don't want to do. So if you don't feel like doing laundry, hire a laundry service to do all your towels and robes and sheets for you. If you want to hire someone to create your graphics for you because you're not that great on Canva just yet, hire someone to do your graphics. Skincare Gem, she's a super popular one that a lot of estheticians will pay to make their ideas come to life. And she is someone that I have outsourced for a lot of my graphics. But most of the ideas that I have created reels or educational content on come from clients asking me things in the treatment room. So for example, if I have a client that's like, how often should I be cleansing? It sounds like such a simple thing that you're like, shouldn't everybody know that? But the reality is most people don't. Most people are not cleansing for 1 minute straight, or they're not double cleansing at night until someone tells them why it's important. So most of the light bulbs that I get come from me in the treatment room with my clients, and they're asking me things. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to write that down in my notes app and create a funny reel on that later.
I love that. Now let's talk a little bit about your brand. How does a solo SD who's just starting out develop a brand in this somewhat oversaturated market?
So this is going to sound just like very vague, but your brand should be very relatable to who you are as a person. So for me, like, I love the color pink. So you'll see a lot of pink on my brand. Got that and established that color. As far as like the voice of your brand, it should sound like you. So that way when you are posting on social media and speaking to the camera, it doesn't sound scripted. Like, hey guys, welcome to my YouTube channel, etc., etc. Like, it should just sound like you pulled out your phone and you decide to talk to a friend. Like, people are going to constantly just swipe and scroll past stuff that sounds very like AI generated. You know what I mean? So it just should sound authentic. And I think that sounds very vague, but it's easier when you just do it and you don't care what anybody else thinks. But identifying your brand, I feel like I could literally just talk for an hour about this part alone. But
so would you say that, and you do mention this in the book, that a brand is more than just your color, right? But a color is part of your brand.
Yes.
Like you just said, like pink is very authentic to you. It's very authentic to kind of who you are. You also mentioned how your brand screams like girly pop.
Girly pop, manifestation, like those are just things that I already love. So I applied it to my brand in a way that also translates into skincare and helping people. Like, manifestation doesn't have to just be about manifesting 6 figures as an esthetician. It can also be about manifesting clear skin, manifesting abundance in all areas of your life. So for me, I love manifestation and I love all the girly things. So it just made sense to apply that to my brand.
Yeah.
My brand is literally just me and how I treat my clients.
Yeah, I like that. So shifting a little bit and going back to, you just mentioned manifesting again. I hear the word manifesting all the time. I hear it in podcasts and TED Talks. I read about it. I hear about it in yoga class, like manifest what you want. How does somebody do that? Like, I know what the word means, but how do you actually manifest what you want?
I think it's just down to having like a goal or a vision and then executing it by putting in the work. So manifesting to some people can sound like very woo-woo and like kind of witchy, but it really is just having a goal and like having a vision, making a vision board. Like, if you're trying to manifest a fully booked client list within 6 months, then you have to put in the work to do that. Manifesting, I think, is just a very trendy term for having a goal and executing it. Like, I manifested that. I made that happen. That's all it is.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of, it's not as hard as people think it is. I think you just have to have really good work ethic and determination and a little bit of delusion as well. The delusion helps.
Yeah, you break that down in a very like achievable way.
Yeah.
It's not about this woo-woo thing that you can't do because you don't know how to. It's just about like identifying what you want, setting all of the goals that you need to have in place in order to get there, and then starting to work towards it.
Yeah, and I think I'm just super passionate about that because I, at one point, was led to believe that I didn't have it in me, so it made me want to do it even more. But the delusion is just me telling myself, like, this is a very hard, unrealistic goal to some people, but I am going to make it happen because there is no other option. Like, I am going to do this. So I get joy from making people realize that they have the power to do that, to do whatever it is they're trying to accomplish. And then when they start to realize, like, oh, like, I got 6 new clients this week from just, manifesting and believing in myself, it makes me so happy because I feel like people think that they can't do it unless they tell themselves over and over again, I can. And it sounds silly at first when you're in your head, but eventually when you start to see the benefits of that, it becomes addicting.
Yeah, I can see that. So for estheticians that are just starting out, I feel like you have a big following of estheticians that come to you for advice. What typically are those top 3 things that you give them for advice when they're asking you, like, how do I do this? I'm just starting.
I would say focusing on bringing new clients in is important, yes, but the few clients that you do have, treat them like gold, because I think one of the biggest tools in this industry is word of mouth. Social media obviously plays a huge role in that as well, as far as attracting new clients, but keeping the ones you have coming back is the most important thing in the world. Treat them like gold. It's all in the little details that matter. Check in with them, communicate with them, ask them how they're doing, just little things like that. And post a lot, obviously. I know I sound like a broken record, but post.
Do you have a schedule for your posting? Like, do you work off of a schedule, or is it just kind of what comes to you daily?
So not really a schedule, I would say, but I do batch a lot of content. So I will take one day out of the week to create like anywhere from 7 to 12 posts and have them scheduled for the next week. So at least one day out of the week, I'm making a lot of content. Yeah.
Okay. So you're talking about a lot of little things that are needed to be successful, posting, being in contact, treating your patients well on the table, being in contact with your patients. Like all those little things add up to like, I would think like 5 of you.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of work that's involved in that. And in your book, you also talk about the importance of email marketing and making sure that you're tailoring and customizing the messages that are going out to your patients. So for example, if you have a patient that suffers from acne, the email marketing that goes out to them is maybe acne tips or reminders on cleansing for their acne. If you have a client that's more focused on anti-aging, the email blast that's going out to them is more focused on what their concerns are. How do you possibly manage all of that?
Templates. There are so many email marketing templates that you can use and just edit, kind of tailor to what you focus on or you specialize in. So at least 90 to 95% of my clients are all acne prone. So it's very easy for me to kind of customize all these email templates on that. But maybe next month I want to switch it up and I don't want to talk about acne. I can customize it to rosacea or inflammation or diet tips or how to stay hydrated through the winter, things like that. Just templates, honestly, are a lifesaver.
Okay.
And I feel like even if you are just sending out the same email, at least it's something. Most people in this industry don't do email marketing. But I think I'm a consumer girly. I am big on emails. I'm always getting these emails from all these places that I shop at, and they work. They drive me to go check out the website and buy things. So estheticians, don't sleep on email marketing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm a brand new esthetician. I have a lot of clinical experience. I'm fantastic at my clinical practice, but I've decided that I want to go out on my own. And I reach out to you and I say, Rachel, I want to only work 5 days a week. What percentage of my time should I spend at the bedside versus like doing my social media posts versus doing my email marketing, my organization of those email templates and blasts and everything else that goes into running a business? Like, how do I split up my time in order to be successful?
That depends on, I think, how many clients they have going solo. I mean, if you're going solo with little to no clients, all of your time should be spent on generating content. So that way, when you are starting to notice a shift and you're getting more clients, you have plenty of content to post. If you are an esthetician that has a loyal client base at the job you're working at, and you know that they're going to follow you into opening your business, I would make sure that obviously you're spending enough time to treat them to where you're generating the amount of money that you want to generate for yourself, but also set aside at least 1 to 2 days a week for content creation purposes.
Okay. Yeah, that's good guidance.
Yeah.
So shifting gears a little bit, you've mentioned that you are an acne specialist. You mentioned that about 90 to 95% of your clients do suffer from acne. Now, what has changed in your business, or how do you tailor or customize your treatments to be specific to treating acne? Like, what have you brought into your practice to help you be successful at treating that skin condition?
Well, as we know, acne is an inflammatory condition. So I primarily focus on lines that are going to focus on the inflammation and the active acne as well. I do have about 7 different skincare lines because I love being able to customize each person's routine based on what I see. But as far as the treatments go, I'm always looking for treatments that are going to help with the inflammation and the acne at the same time. So I love Face Realities, acne line, DMK enzyme therapy. Glacial obviously has been the newest and best addition to my practice for my acne clients and my rosacea clients. I just love anything anti-inflammatory.
Tell me a little bit about how Glacial has changed your business as it relates to those inflammatory skin conditions.
So because most of the skin conditions that I treat are caused from inflammation, and glacial focusing on inflammation and treating the root cause of that, I am able to combine it with so many of my services and reduce that downtime in half or none at all. So for example, if I'm doing a microneedling service on someone, there's a few days of downtime with that. They're usually pretty red, swollen. So being able to add on the glacial glide, the 10-minute glide alone, they're experiencing little to zero redness the very next day. And that is only a 10-minute add-on. So I was able to actually increase my revenue by 25% within the first 3 months of bringing on glacial. So not only is it results driven, but it also feels incredible for the client as well. So marketing that was super easy. I feel like when I first tried glacial for myself, I wasn't even in the market for a new device. I tried it, I loved it, and I was like, I love it, my clients are gonna love it. So I called the rep and I was like, you don't even have to sell me on this, just come here and let's figure out the paperwork. I need this immediately.
I love that. Do you use the glacial gloss treatment? And if so, what types of patients are you treating with the glacial gloss treatment?
Yeah, I love the glacial gloss treatment, especially for my clients that have aging skin, dehydrated skin, rosacea mainly. I love the glacial gloss for. Even that textured tip that it comes with is incredible for even the most sensitive skin types. So whenever I'm recommending the glacial gloss for anyone, it's primarily rosacea, anti-aging skin types, and they love it. It feels incredible.
Wonderful. What other types of trends are you seeing in the industry right now? What other types of treatments are trending? What's kind of on the horizon for Rachel?
Well, trending, I'm seeing a lot of laser treatments that are trending. So I don't know if I'll be bringing in any laser anytime soon. If I did, I'm not gonna say which one just yet, but I am really excited to bring in a little bit more aggressive treatments. That way the glacial can be combined with it and just boost the results that much more and cut the downtime in half.
Are you currently combining the glacial treatments with any other technologies?
Like almost all of them. I combine it with hydrofacial the most, and skin pen microneedling. Yeah, those are the two I combine it with the most, I think.
So if I'm a new Rachel client and I
Mm-hmm.
come in and I say, Rachel, I'm coming in today for a hydrofacial. I really
Mm-hmm.
want a hydrofacial.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me a little bit about what that conversation looks like when you talk to the client and say, well, I'm not going to just do the hydrofacial on you today. I'm
Yeah.
actually going to do the glacial with the hydrofacial.
Mm-hmm.
How do you explain that to your clients?
So it's funny you say that because most of the time clients are coming to me already asking for it because I don't shut up about it on social media. And going back to the social media marketing thing, I feel like if you're talking about something enough, you rarely ever have to sell it to your clients. They are going to ask for it. Most of the time, people need to hear something 7 times before they are completely sold on it. But I just talk about it constantly because I love it. And they see my before and afters and they're like, hey, what's that cold plunge for your face thing? Can we add that on today? So it's very rare that I have to bring it up. They're already asking for it 9 times out of 10. But if I do, I'm just like, hey, I know you love the cold globes. Do you want to try something even better than that? My clients in the past, before I had glacial, every time I would whip out the cold globes, I always say if my clients had a tail, it would wag because they're like, this is the best part. So now that I have glacial, they're super excited whenever I talk about it.
So were you typically treating clients with cold post hydrofacial?
Yeah, always.
Okay, so you've replaced that with the
Yep.
glacial glide treatment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. Are you combining the glacial treatments with any other different skincare topicals or skincare brands?
Yes, Hydrinity. I'm running through these Hydrinity masks like crazy. They love the feeling of the mask with the glacial glide. But I also, at the end, the last few minutes, I like to take the mask off and use the serum that's left in the Hydrinity pack, pour it on their skin, and then just use the bare contact with the glacial glide on the skin. And it feels incredible for them. And the results are always chef's kiss.
That's a great idea. When are you using that combo?
What do you mean?
Like when are you using the Hydrinity mask with glacial? Are you using it like
Oh,
post microneedling? Are
yeah.
you
Pretty much like I can do it with post microneedling with hydrofacial, DMK enzyme therapy. Whenever I use the Glacial Glide, I usually always pair it with the Hydrinity sheet mask.
Okay.
Just because the ingredient deck is amazing, especially post microneedling. The Hydrinity sheet mask has ingredients in it that are already native to the skin, so there's zero chance of any adverse reactions.
Love it. So I'm sure as a solo esthetician starting off, I was reading about your journey in the book, and you said, you were trying to manifest this for yourself, but you were manifesting some big dreams with a couple thousand in the bank and trying to start your own practice. How does somebody that's just starting out like that start investing in the tools that they need to be successful and to generate revenue for their practice? So, buying a piece of capital equipment, for example,
Right.
it costs a lot of money up front. So how would you guide a solo esthetician that's making that first purchase?
Well, I would say start investing slowly. Like, don't just go off and buy a huge piece of equipment with zero money in the bank and no clients, because there might be a little bit of money anxiety there, and I totally get that. So I would say if you're going to invest in anything, just invest in the results that you want to provide for your clients. So good skincare lines. Once you start to generate a little bit of revenue consistently and you're thinking about making your first big purchase, I know that money anxiety is going to be there at first, but everything I've ever invested in my business has always come back to me tenfold. And I think that people can sense when you're taking yourself seriously and you're investing in your business, they know that you're believing in yourself, and they will too. So yeah, that money anxiety is real, but every time you invest in your business, it will come back to you tenfold.
How has the glacial device come back to you?
So, like I said, when I bought Glacial, I wasn't even looking for it, but because I tried it for myself and loved it so much, I knew that marketing it was going to be a no-brainer. But honestly, I've made most of my money with the Glacial Glide alone. Whenever people ask for it, it only takes 10 minutes to do, so it's not even like I have to block off a large amount of time like I do with other services. Some of my services take an hour and a half. So if someone comes in asking for that, I'm not able to do it. If they want to add on the Glacial Glide to their service, I can always do it. So I have been able to generate 25% more in revenue within the first 3 months just with the Glacial Glide alone.
Would you say that the versatility of the technology allows you to be a little bit to generate more ROI because you could pair it with anything?
Absolutely, because it cuts the downtime in half for so many of my services. For example, if someone's doing microneedling and we're cutting that downtime in half, they're able to come in more often for other treatments as well. So sometimes I like to do microneedling 1 month, and then I have them come back in 2 to 3 weeks later just for a Glacial Glide to help accelerate their results. And then we're able to do another skin pen treatment even sooner. So because it cuts the downtime in half, they don't have to wait so long in between treatments either.
So, in addition to cutting down the downtime, are you
Mm-hmm.
seeing any improved clinical results by incorporating Glacial Glide into your treatments?
Absolutely. The reduction in redness alone for my acne clients and my rosacea clients, it's become to the point where it's addicting, and people are wanting to come in just for the feeling of the cooling tip alone. But yeah, the results just with the Glacial Glide in the reduction of redness after their treatment, they're addicted.
Speaking of results,
Mm-hmm.
I did look over your social media page, and you do post a lot of the before and after pictures on your social media page. And your before and after pictures are remarkable,
Thank you.
especially with your acne patients. Some
Mm-hmm.
of the before and after pictures that I saw on your clients were just like jaw dropping.
Yeah.
What is your secret sauce to achieving those types of results?
Consistency and combining the right tools and the right ingredients. Going back to Glacial, I just love that it pairs well with others. There are a lot of services that I carry that I cannot combine. But with Glacial, I can combine it with any of my services, and I do like pretty much all day, every day.
So you are a very busy lady, and you wear many hats, as we've established. You're a social media creator, you're a writer,
Yeah,
you're a
an
mom,
author. Oh my God.
you're a business owner, you're a clinician, like all of these things. And I'm sure that you probably have, 10 more things to add to the list that I don't even know about. What does self-care look like for you? How do you achieve balance in all of that?
Um, well, self-care pre-baby was more of like a routine for me in the sense that like, okay, I have to do this routine and these treatments because it got me these results and now I have to keep up with it. Now that I have my baby, people thought that like, oh, like she probably fell off a little bit. Now my routine, I take it actually a lot more seriously. It has become my ritual, not just a routine. But this is my me time. So I take my ritual very seriously in the morning and at night.
Good for you.
Yeah, thanks.
So speaking of self-care
Mm-hmm.
and maybe Rachel getting a little love,
Mm-hmm.
who do you admire and follow in the industry on social media? And a second part to that question,
Mm-hmm.
if you could select any of the people, the clinicians out there that you admire, that you follow to do a treatment for you, who would it be?
This is gonna be hard because I feel like I have so many SD besties, but I think the top two, I would love to get a facial massage by my friend Tara, Aesthetics by Tara, who's also a glacial provider. And then the LA facialist. I've always wanted to go to her as well. And she's also a glacial provider, actually. I didn't even realize that. But yeah, would love to get serviced by both of them.
And who do you follow? Like who do you admire in the industry on social media?
So another person that I admire and I love following and really admire their social media content is Skin by Victoria, or Skin by You. She's in Arizona. Her social media content is just such high quality. It makes you feel good. If I look up to anyone, it's her. She's great.
I love it. Was there somebody early on, like when you were baby SD Rachel, and I call you baby SD Rachel because you call yourself baby SD Rachel in the book
Mm-hmm.
when you were new and just starting out.
Yeah.
As baby SD Rachel, was there somebody that you looked up to for guidance way, years ago that helped you create who you are today?
I definitely think there are a lot of estheticians that I looked up to. As a baby SD, I think Savannah Boda has a very strong brand that almost every esthetician looks up to, like as their esthetician president, as some people would say. She's got a great following and great marketing. But yeah, I have so many esthetician friends that I love. But Face by Mace, she's also a really, really, really strong brand, very identifiable. So her branding skills are just top tier.
Love it.
Yeah.
So, speaking of baby SD Rachel,
Mm-hmm.
if you could kind of look back from where you are today and give advice on baby SD Rachel, 4 years ago, is there any advice that you would give her?
Um, well, there's a lot that I would tell her, but I think I would tell her don't feel like you have to have everything at once because that is going to overwhelm you and you're not going to want to do it all. Just take baby steps, focus on what really matters, and that's providing the best client experience and results. And if I feel like if you stay true to those two core values, you're going to be great no matter what.
It's great advice.
Thank you.
As a glacialist, we are a med device company at
Mm-hmm.
Glacial Skin. How can med device companies like us at Glacial Skin, how can we best support you and help make you successful after the sale of the equipment?
So I feel like you guys already do such an amazing job at that. I always tell people that Glacial is for the esthetician. The amount of support that I have, I feel like I have 5 different reps that specialize in everything. So it's really cool to be like, hey, I need this, 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 and this. And there's always somebody that will get back to me super quick. So you guys are already killing it. But one thing that I love that companies do is seminars, like educational seminars. I love traveling, and any excuse to write off a little work trip would be great. So yeah, I just love connecting with other providers, and just getting our education on.
Well, as an educator myself, I can definitely see the value in that.
Yeah.
So one of the things that has made you successful in your business, and you mentioned it, is you treat your clients like gold.
Mm-hmm.
Give me the details about that. What does it mean to treat your clients like gold?
I would say treat them all like royalty. So focus on not only providing the best experience and the best results for them, but it's all in the little details. So when they walk in the door, ask if they want a water, give them a hot, warm robe to change into. When you're doing the consultation, be an active listener. Ask them why, what concerns that they have, how you're going to address that. Educate them while you're working on them. So for me, whenever I'm physically working on somebody in the treatment room, I'm always explaining step by step what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. I feel like that gives them peace of mind, especially as a new client. They don't know what they're walking into, or if they've never had a facial before. It's obviously very nerve-wracking. So the education, I feel like, is the best feedback that I get from most clients. They're like, I love that you explain everything step by step. It definitely made me feel a lot better. Setting realistic expectations with people as well has been a game changer as well. And then checking in with them after their appointment, following up with them, making sure, how's your skin doing the next day? Asking if they need anything, just checking in with them if they haven't booked in a couple of months. Um, and yeah, and just, be a friend, hold their hand. Times can get tough whenever we're, especially an acne client, they're going through the purging process, hold their hand, reassure them that it's gonna be okay. People really appreciate that.
So, in addition to treating them like royalty, you talk in your book about client retention and how that is like the backbone of your business.
Yeah.
Right? You can't just have one client come in for one service and then never come get them back because you never build your books.
Right.
What are the things that you do to build client retention?
Well, I think I honestly think it's the results that keeps them coming back. Because if I wasn't giving them a great experience or great results, they would eventually go to somebody else, right? So I have to make sure that they are seeing results. Otherwise, I'm not doing my job. So in the beginning, when I didn't have all these fancy devices or all the skincare lines that I wanted right away, I would still recommend that if I thought a client could benefit from a product that I didn't carry, I would still recommend that they buy it from another esthetician. And once they saw really good results with that, that fostered that loyalty. And eventually, when I would bring on said product or skincare line, they were already well versed in it and saw great results with it. So it just kind of built that trust and loyalty from there. They appreciated that I wasn't just trying to sell them what I had, I was also recommending things that I didn't have.
Yeah, speaking of bringing on product lines, I loved your part in the book about how you manifested your success by just buying a lot of product, even though you didn't know how you were going to sell through the product. You were like, I'm just going to buy it because
Yeah.
I know I'm going to manifest selling through it.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I put myself in crazy positions. Like, if you're looking at it from an outside perspective, you're like, okay, well, how? That's a great question. I just put myself in the position and was like, well, I have $10,000 worth of products sitting on my shelves and I have to sell it. But obviously, I would never purchase that much if I didn't think that I was going to or if I didn't believe in it. I
Right.
wouldn't just buy $10,000 worth of CeraVe, for example. Nothing against them, but I invest in quality products, things that I know are going to sell regardless.
So you talked a lot about, patient retention, and you get the retention by achieving clinical results, and you're getting the clinical results by bringing in the highest quality skincare and devices that you're exposed to. Do you think that the glacial skin device has promoted that retention and loyalty in your practice?
Absolutely. When I first brought on Glacial, like I said, I wasn't really in the market looking for something, but I feel like it kind of just found me. And because I loved my experience and my results, I knew that marketing that to my clients was going to be super easy. The device pretty much sells itself. Just as soon as it touches your skin, you just feel so relaxed. And then once you see your results after, you're like, oh, I will be booking this again and again.
If somebody doesn't come in asking for a glacial skin treatment, and maybe it's just they're coming in for something else, and they say, what is that? How do you explain it to a patient?
I would basically say this is like a cold plunge on wheels. It's great for inflammation, and as we know, all skincare concerns stem from inflammation, whether it's pigment, sun damage, acne, rosacea, even premature signs of aging stem from inflammation. So if you any of those are your concerns, Glacial would be a great option for you, or as an add-on to the service that you already have, and it feels incredible. Um, yeah.
Do you think that the inflammation story resonates with people? Does the client walking in your door understand what inflammation is and how inflammation can cause skin aging?
Most of the time, I feel like people don't know how inflammation causes skin damage until I educate them on that. So I feel like if you are a provider and you're wondering how you're going to market Glacial to your clients, first you have to tell them what inflammation is and how it impacts our skin, and then insert Glacial.
What's your one liner? If I am your patient and I say, I have no idea, what do you mean inflammation? Like to me, inflammation is like in my gut or in my bones, or like what is inflammation?
Inflammation definitely does come from the inside, but it manifests through the skin as well. So especially when you see that redness or acne, that is your skin just letting you know that we are inflamed and we need something anti-inflammatory to help with that. So that's where Glacial comes in. Glacial is literally anti-inflammatory results on wheels.
Rachel, has Glacial played a part in any like game changer treatments in your practice?
Yes, I feel like I posted this before and after so many times on my story. I was so annoying about it, but I cannot shut up about it, about this one specific client. She originally was just my melasma client, but unfortunately found out that she had some liver issues as well, which manifested into acne and inflammation on her skin. So we were addressing the acne with Glacial and acne peels, and she was coming in every 2 weeks for these treatments and saw insane results after just a few. So this is a before and after that I will always refer back to.
Did you see results on her melasma and her acne?
Yes.
Wonderful.
Yeah. So it was just the acne that we were tackling at first, and then I said, okay, we'll do like a chemical peel after we address the acne and inflammation down the road. But luckily, we were able to tackle both at the same time with Glacial.
Rachel, thank you so much for hosting us today and for being a guest on our Glam Report
Of
podcast.
course. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, this is where the magic happens. You as your sign says,
Yes.
you are a true inspiration. You're an
Thank
influencer
you.
out in the industry. Thank you for doing what you do and for inspiring so many other STs out there.
Of course. Yeah. Thank you so much. It was awesome talking to you guys. I loved it.
And that's a wrap for today's episode of The Glam Report. A big thank you to our guests for sharing their expertise and insights. We hope you found today's episode as inspiring and informative as we did. To our amazing listeners out there, thank you so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe, rate, and share it with others who are passionate about wellness, skincare, and learning about industry trends and how to be successful in their aesthetic business. Until next time, keep glowing and radiating your best self.